The Night Circus. The Night Circus, an unusual circus, shows up in London. Unlike a typical circus, at Le Cirque des Rêves there are no bright or radiant colors. It has a black, silver, and white color scheme and is only open at night. The circus holds a very enchanting atmosphere and stuns everyone who enters the gates. Within the circus are two magicians who go by the names of Prospero the Enchanter or Hector Bowen and Mr. A.H. or Alexander. These two men are sworn rivals and are always competing to be named as the stronger magician. After Hector loses the most recent competition, he is determined to win this one. He is confident that his choice of his daughter Celia was a wise one, as like her father, she is naturally skilled at illusion. Unfortunately for Celia, her father is a strict and relentless teacher. For A.H., he pursues a young boy named Marco, who he instructs to study on his own. The conflict between Celia and Marco can easily be referred to as the main plot of the novel. The two struggle to maintain and upkeep the circus while attempting to untangle themselves from the mess of the competition that Hector and A.H. have put them into. Throughout the novel, Marco and Celia develop a deep connection despite that the pair don't see each other too often. It's then revealed that to end the competition, either Celia or Marco must die. However, the death of one of them will also result in the death of the circus. Marco learns that Celia is going to try to sacrifice herself, so he attempts to end his own life first by jumping into a bonfire. When Celia sees this, she joins him and flames surround both of them. She manages to perform a spell which rids them of their physical bodies and lets them be together spiritually. Bailey, a frequent visitor of the circus, arrives and decides to take over the circus as its new caretaker, and the circus is revived. There are many major themes that take place in the Night Circus, but themes like rivalry and competition, magic and illusion, and love stand out the most. At the heart of the Night Circus is the competition between two young magicians, Celia and Marco, who must outperform one another using magic until only one of them is left standing. Hector Bowen and Mr. A.H. force them into this competition because of their centuries-long lasting rivalry. These two well-known magicians have been trying to prove that they are the best magician alive. Instead of coming together and creating a great act of magic for the audience to love, they create these competitions to show the audience who the better teacher is. Celia is Hector's daughter by blood, and Marco is adopted by Mr. A.H. This alone can be seen as a mad addiction to this rivalry in proving who the best truly is when they're both willing to put their own children's lives on the line. As already explained, Le Cirque des Rêves differs from any other typical circus. Instead, this circus is filled with actual magic, challenging the audience to question what's real or just an illusion. In the Night Circus, the audience chooses to have faith in something they cannot explain or fully understand, making the show more amusing and mysterious. Spectators of Le Cirque des Rêves come to seek illusion and deception, whether or not they believe it's truly magic. The show that is performed defies logic and extends their sense of what is possible. By the end of the performance, Mr. A.H. recognizes that there are many forms of magic. The members of the circus and the audience come together in realization that magic is possible, and they do not have to understand it, but believe in what they see. This gives the audience a sense of wonder and creativity, giving them the courage to do great things and take risks to make great things happen. Like every other novel, there is always a forbidden romance that accompanies it. The romance between Celia and Marco is built off of rebellion, self-determination, and wanting to feel a need for another human being. The young lovers have never experienced love to this extent before, but when they both let their guards down and open up to each other, they build up an even stronger connection. Throughout the competition, they've forgotten about competing and focus on impressing one another with the skills they've learned. Of course, since their guardians have such strong rivalry, They do not approve of these feelings and their collective work. Although it's clear that Celia and Marco perform their best work when working together, Hector called Celia weak, weaker than he would have ever thought because she fell in love with her competitor. Their love requires strength in order to overcome the will of their guardians, and in the end, it is the strength that empowers them to risk it all for love. Throughout the novel, there are many times that psychoanalysis theory can be demonstrated. Celia and Marco can be seen as the ego, not knowing what to do, who to follow, or what the right thing to do is. Their guardians, Hector and Mr. AH, can be seen as the id, only wanting their child to win and to only be focused on magic, competing, and winning. We can say that Bailey Clark, a young boy raised on a farm who ran away from home, can be the superego. Bailey Clark wanted nothing to do with his grandmother's wishes of attending college at Harvard or to become a farmer like his father. Bailey wanted nothing less than to be part of the circus, and he would never want it to close down. Another great example of psychoanalysis consists of Celia and Marco being both the ego and superego. To elaborate, Celia and Marco are in love and want to be with each other, even though it's wrong. Their guardians only want one of them to win the competition, leaving the other one dead and empty-handed. They're at a crossroad and don't know what to do. It's either they disappoint their guardians and end the competition, or, in despite of their love for each other, continue and let the best magician win. We can say that both Love and Celia and Marco's guardians can be considered as the id in this case. Personally, I found this book very interesting, full of events, and very well explained for a book about magic. Usually, I'm not the type to enjoy books relating spells and magicians, but there is so much more to this book than just magic. The different themes, such as love and rivalry, definitely blended well together and made for an entertaining read. In general, the love story between Celia and Marco and how they had to make daily decisions to follow their heart or to listen to their guardians is fascinating and incredibly written. These problems that Celia and Marco go through and what Bailey Clark went through with his family can be related to society today. Parents are always putting stress on their kids, forcing them to make lifelong decisions that they don't want to make or aren't ready to make just yet. It's forcing their children to feel overwhelmed, causing them to feel stressed and anxious. With all these connections to society and intriguing themes throughout the book, this book has everything a passionate reader could wish for, and I would highly recommend.